what a melancholy choice this is, wanting home but wanting him. As I stood at the front door of my grandmother's house in New York this past summer, all I could think about were these lyrics from a song in Fiddler on the Roof. They made for the perfect reading when my American mother wed my Turkish father. My name is Ela Topçuoğlu, and these are my parents, Sally and Cem. They have been married for 22 years and live in Istanbul, Turkey. My father grew up in a small village in Istanbul, Turkey. My mother grew up in Valley Stream, 5,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. This is the story of how they met.
I remember it was June of, what year was that? 1988.
No, I was supposed to stay in LA a few more months, actually. But I just wanted to go to New York and check it out, to see New York and the agency, just for a few days. That was my intention.
And I look at the calendar, I'm like, oh man, this guy, Cem Topçuoğlu, this Turkish guy's coming. Where is Turkey?
So I got to New York and then went to Gray Advertising the first time, and I went up to 25th floor, which is the international, floor of the agency, and then was waiting at the reception desk.
And in my mind, I'm seeing somebody 5 feet tall with a very round belly and a little mustache. I don't know where I got that from. So at about 11:30, they buzzed me from the reception.
Then somebody just came in.
And I turned into the reception room, and he was sitting there.
This tall, beautiful, attractive woman. Back that time, she was, very, how would I say, just very New Yorker.
And he stood up and said, "Hello, my name is Cem Topçuoğlu." And I fell in love that second. He was very handsome. He was but so kind. There was just such a sincerity to his eyes, and he was so earnest, and you could see it was just lovely. It was a moment I'll never forget.
I was born in Istanbul in 1992 and never really questioned or found it weird that I would go and see my American family once a year in New York and live in Istanbul for the rest of the year.
Aunt Marie called me one day and said to me, "What's with Sally and this Turkish guy?" And I said, "What Turkish guy?" She says, "She's had dinner 4 times this week with this Turkish guy." So I called your mom and I said, "Sal, what's with this Turkish guy?" She said, "Nothing's with this Turkish guy. There could be a lot, but nothing's going to happen because I'm not going there and he can't stay here. So..."
It wasn't until last year when I moved to New York City for college that I discovered how difficult it really is to adjust to a new culture. I suppose that I have been guilty of taking my parents for granted when they kept telling me, "I know how you feel." I remember a recent conversation I had with my mom where I began to wonder how on earth I was supposed to get used to the feeling of being torn between 2 countries. My mother and father seemed like the perfect answer.
Now I was faced with a huge dilemma to leave everything that I had. I have a very, very big family, very, very close to my family, and I knew this was something I was going to have to do. There was no choice. I had to go with him, and that was my destiny.
Getting used to a new culture, learning English, it was interesting because in like 10 or 15 days, I was in perfect shape. I said, okay, so I'm not going to go back. I felt pretty comfortable in Los Angeles.
My father found it a lot easier adjusting to the American culture because to him it was a land of opportunities, a chance to learn English and make important connections. My mother, however, was leaving her opportunities to go live in a country that at the time didn't have any prospects for her.
I get off the plane and I'm developing this pit in my stomach. I'm like, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to come here? I had this overwhelming, horrible fear. I mean, it was awful. And at the time, I didn't recognize that to be an anxiety attack. But that's what that was. Just got through it.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't think of just taking her to Turkey and what's going to happen now, but just it would be. I knew it would be difficult for her because she was coming to a totally different culture, different environment, and what she used to do here as a woman, particularly, just she's got her freedom, and she makes her own money. She has her own career and all that stuff.
I started to teach English. I wanted to I realized that there was a big market in teaching kids how to speak English and with their homework.
I mean, I did feel bad about it some time to time because we tried hard. I mean, we tried to put her on work, at Grey Advertising. She started and worked for a while, but she couldn't manage the environment, and it was a totally different environment. It was not Turkey. Istanbul was not ready to have an American ad person, within the agency. Basically, just left her career. So that was the sad part of it, I guess. I mean, particularly for her, and then I felt a little bit guilty about it, but that was no choice. On the other hand, so somebody had to give up something. At the Turkish wedding on September 15th, nearby Üsküdar.
We went to your parents' house after the wedding, and I went to take my gown off, and my mother-in-law said, "Oh, please don't take it off. Can you just sit in your gown for a while longer?" That was nice. And my father-in-law gave me a beautiful necklace. It was a scary time, but it was good.
It never occurred to me that my parents had a similar situation when they were just married. Once my mom and dad were in Istanbul, they were both faced with different challenges.
Economic situation back then was okay. It was very tight. It was, we were just making, enough money to survive. We lived in a very basic neighborhood. The area when I grew up, very close to that area. It was difficult. It was difficult for her because I was used to it, but she was not.
The cultural differences, the stresses of marriage, the stress of career, and me going back and forth started to take its toll. You really start to understand your cultural differences.
From 93 to almost 2003 is like another decade of my life was all about work.
There became a time where he was not 100% in the game, in the family game. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He just wasn't in it. And I suggested that we get a separation. He cried, and I cried, and we held on to each other, and we knew this had to happen.
I don't have regrets, but I wanted to have more time with my family when you guys were smaller, so I didn't have much time to spend with you except the night times, the weekends, and etc. But just I had to work.
Jim just came up very, very fast. He became successful very, very fast and moved into a sector that I think it overwhelmed him. And of course, I was never interested in any of it. And became a separating issue for us. Was he had his world that he didn't entirely know where he fit into in this new society. As he made more and more money, we moved up. I never did. I was never interested in it.
The issues that between us, or the way she is adapting herself to Turkish society, or our friends and the environment and everything. I think there are a couple of issues that it's been going on for many years, because I've been trying to explain to her that you have to follow the Turkish news and Turkish media, not necessarily this particular subject, but just try to get used to the language, used to the culture, used to what people think, and she kind of skip these parts over the years. So that gives her headaches sometimes. Yeah, that's one of the main challenges that she had.
He did come back after 4 months. After 22 years, I have started to keep more and more to myself. I share less and less. I've started to see the disadvantage of sharing your life and opening, doing for everybody. And I'm starting to see the wisdom in how Jem lived. And I think Jem has also become much more open. He's become very, very gradually. We're able to have a good fight now and then be okay. And it was good. I think the separation was it's going to be a tough memory for our family, but at the end of the day, I think it was really the best thing to do, and it's why we're together today.
I mean, I think she's a great mom. I think she has, raised you guys, in a perfect way, and she, educated you. I think it's a great thing. And she kept family together, and she's a great family person, I think, and she's very warm, and everybody likes her. She can be center of attention wherever she goes to. She's lovely and everything. So she knows how to raise a family. I think it's a very, very important role, because particularly if somebody works and the other one is at home. So somebody has to do that job, and otherwise you're all over the place. And so I think that's the best part of her.
Watching my parents open up about each other and about their past together was very weird for me. This was an opportunity for me to hear their story and have hope that I too can overcome the same challenges, as well as a chance for them to see how far they've come.
I did. I liked it. It's very good. This is a Barolo.
This is a good one.
Nanny and Papa. One thing that we've been very, very lucky with, I think, is our families. So we have Nanny, which is my mom, and then we have Papa, which is my dad.
And then we have
Nan is the pasta master.
The pasta master.
Mosta.
And then we cross the Atlantic.
We have Babanne,
Baba Anne is who?
my dad's mother.
You're gonna mix these,
Yeah.
did you?
This is yours, the smaller one.
And who's the big chief?
And then there's Dede, which is my dad's father. I still wonder how I will manage to balance Istanbul and New York for the rest of my life. Then the answer comes through my bedroom door in the form of my mother and father, who have commuted for the past 20 years and have mastered the art of enjoying the best of both countries. We both have two wonderful cultures and cities living inside us, and wherever we go, we carry with us a bundle of smells, sights, and sounds of our two homes, which somehow keep us flying.
How can I hope to make you understand why I do what I do? Why I must travel to a distant land, far from the home